Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Walker Ford in sunny Clearwater, Florida, because guess what? We have a prime example of a Shelby GT350. This is a 2018 ruby red GT350. But before we get into this one, let's talk a little bit about what the GT350 really means to Ford. It's been around since 1965. That connection with the Ford Mustang and the Ford corporate offices, and of course, Carroll Shelby. Now, there's been a lot of other names associated with the Shelby GT350. One person in particular is that race car driver, Ken Miles, did so much development work on the Shelby GT350 to really make it what it really was. And fast forward to 2015, that name came back once again. Now, the 2015 Shelby GT350s are very, very hard to find because there was a limited amount. It was a little over 50 examples. 2016 was really the first year of true production of the latest and greatest GT350. Now with this 2018, I really want to focus on, is the Ford Shelby GT350 the best bang for your performance dollar for less than $50,000? Let's go ahead and find out. Right off the bat, the styling. When it comes to styling, performance car, you gotta have some style, and the Shelby GT350 really has that tenfold. You're gonna have the older headlight design with your LED tri-bar setup, functional air vents. Now remember, all Shelbys after 2016 come with the track pack. So that means you're gonna get extra coolers up front and diff cooler out back to keep all the temps in the right order, because that's what's gonna make a performance car really be worth the value, is that if you could keep those heat temperatures down, because heat robs us of power. So you're gonna have all that functionality with the open air intakes on both sides. Shelby GT350, this is your front splitter that you're getting, functional pieces. This is all functional. You don't have to go GT350R to get all that extra performance. The GT350 has a ton. You could see how Ford shaped the grille area. Most people would have thought, hey, if you have an open grille, isn't that better? No. By closing it off, they were able to force feed more air in there to bring into that massive radiator. Now, going up onto the hood, the great news is more functionality. You have your functional heat extractor, so cold air comes in, hot air is dragged out. Nothing screams performance car more than racing stripes. One of my zonks though is that who came up with the idea to outline them with white pinstripe on the outside? If they were just straight up black, it would be so much cleaner. Now when we come around the bend, if we're talking performance car, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So you're looking at these 19-inch wheels. The wheels on the Shelby GT350 are a little heavier than on the GT350R because the R has carbon fiber, but you're gonna get these beautiful 10-spoke wheels. Massive 6-piston Brembo calipers are gonna clamp down on that 15-inch rotor. 15-inch rotor, just like Grimace, that character from McDonald's, clamps down on a Big Mac. They're fully ventilated and cross-drilled and two-piece, not two-face, two-piece rotors. That's gonna help dissipate that heat when you're turning those fast track times at your local hotspot, wherever that may be. But that really is gonna make it a true performance car. Lurking behind these fenders, you have that Magna Ride suspension. What that suspension is gonna do is, no matter if you're at Sebring, where it's bumpier, maybe you're doing a track day at Daytona and you got the banking, the Magna Ride suspension is gonna adjust your compression and rebound to give you perfect damping at all four corners. Now going down the side, what's wonderful about the GT350, it's actually wider. It's actually wider than your standard Mustang because you're gonna have that functional side air scoop that's gonna drag air out. The lower portion has been reworked a little bit, that lower sill, to help channel airflow. Everything else is gonna be your standard Mustang affair. Out back, we're working with a little bit wider wheel and tire setup. Still gonna have very, very large rotors the size of Domino's pizzas, but these are 305s out back. That's gonna help get you the traction to the ground. You got 4-piston Brembo calipers, still a 2-piece rotor. So that's how you know you have performance, when you look at the type of calipers and the rotors, and then of course that suspension that we were talking about. Now getting to the tail end of the business, nice large large and in charge, trunklet spoiler. This is what they switched to in 2017. Gives you a nice amount of downforce. Now there is a handling package that's optional. This one does not. The way that I know it doesn't have the handling package is you would have an addition to a gurney flap. A gurney flap was designed by the late great racing driver, engineer, and team owner, Dan Gurney. Little extra piece of material here gives you more downforce, and the drag isn't really that big of an issue. You drop down, you got that GT350 badging underneath this rear diffuser, which remember, diffuser is functional. Underneath the car, it's all about channeling air, just like up top. What makes this really handle very well at the racetrack and be a great performance car is what's happening underneath. You got a diff cooler to help keep those 373 gears. That's what's in the pumpkin in the center there, those 373 gears. And of course, you got a nice active exhaust system. If you want to piss off the neighbors, piss them off. 6 a.m., fire this baby up, give it a couple wraps of that Voodoo engine. Speaking of the Voodoo, let's go see what the Voodoo Hoodoo underneath that hood. All right, guys, we do have the hood pop right off the bat. I am gonna zonk the prop rod, especially the placement. It's kind of idiotic where they put it. Underneath that hood, though, is definitely nothing but performance. That's that 5.2 liter Voodoo V8. Now, the reason why Ford calls it the Voodoo engine is because of that flat plane crankshaft. This engine is a one-off engine, which guess what, is disappearing after the 2020 model year, never to be used again. Only car you could get it in. Horsepower, 526 horsepower, 429 pound-feet of torque. That all comes in at 8,250 RPM. That's what the flat plane crankshaft gives us. It's mated to a Tremec slick shifting 6-speed manual transmission. You can see where and who built the engine. The two people that built this engine hand assembled the intake plenum. Another way you could tell it's a performance car right off the bat, look at that massive strut tower brace. That's gonna help stiffen up the front end of the business. You have an open air box and a cone shaped filter element to help maximize airflow. Car weighs around 3,700 pounds, and there's a driver by the name of Randy Popes, a retired race car driver, raced cars for decades. This is one of his two. This car is one of his two favorite cars to drive around a racetrack. His first one is a Porsche 911. Guess what? Shelby GT350 is a close second. But why don't we go ahead, let's hear what's gonna be pissing off your neighbors at 6 a.m. All right, guys, we're in this 2018 ruby red Shelby GT350. Now, Walker Ford has not been able to list the price yet. I will leave a link to their website, but it is gonna be well under $50,000 since that is the focus of this video. And if you're wondering mileage, this one barely broken in, 18,000 miles. The owner had to trade it in because they needed a work truck, an F-150 work truck, so their baby had to go. Now, on the interior, what makes this a performance vehicle? Right here, this is what makes it the perfect performance vehicle. A nice, slick shifting, 6-speed manual Tremec transmission. This is where the magic happens. Your parents maybe have a room at the house, they say the magic happens, that's where you were maybe conceived. This is where you're conceiving your performance baby, right here. 6-speed, nice short throws, very mechanical, and I'm telling you, when you're on throttle, it just rocks and roll if you know what you're doing. That makes it a performance car. Another thing that's great is you're gonna get these awesome Recaro seats. One-piece backs, Alcantara, beautiful texture material. They have just enough bolstering to make your track day perfect, but they're not gonna squeeze you like a vice grip. Manual controls for both the passenger and the driver to try to cut some weight. Come on over though to the business side. I wanna show you behind the wheel of what makes this really a true performance car. All right, guys, business time. I love the way these seats just cradle you, just like you were cradled as a baby. Wonderful flat bottom steering wheel, pedals. The placement of the pedals on this car are perfect. You have your clutch, your brake, your throttle, and then if you look at this, to do your heel toe down shifting, very, very, very easily. That's what makes this a performance car. I love the way everything is flat black in here. That's gonna cut down on glare, and you have your good old-fashioned analog gauges. You don't need all this fancy technology mumbo jumbo to have a performance car. Good old analog gauges is wonderful. You can adjust your damper modes. You have sport and normal. You could do steering all the way through. I'm gonna leave that on sport. And then if you want auxiliary gauges, it'll give you auxiliary gauges too. You just gotta scroll through. Look at this. There you go. There's a gauge. There's your transmission oil temp. That's what makes this a performance car. But why don't we get to the best part? Enough of this. Let's go ahead and take this Voodoo for a spin. All right, guys, we are leaving Walker Ford. We're talking about, is this the best performance car for under 50,000? Here we go. Let's find out. Letting out the clutch all the way out. Second gear. Third gear. I'm telling you right now, if you want that naturally aspirated horsepower and you want a transmission that shifts like there's no tomorrow, this GT350 hits the nail on the head so many times, it's ridiculous. The sound, the sensation, and also the precision. Now what's interesting is that, as you are aware, a Mustang GT is not a small vehicle. This is not a small vehicle like a Porsche 911. But the way that they've done the chassis tuning and that Magna Ride suspension that I was telling you about makes this such a tossable package, a balanced package, that when you take it to the track, you're able to just almost do no wrong with it. Seating position, absolutely perfect. Like I said, those Recaros, I think they give you just enough. If they were any more aggressive, it would be too aggressive. And yet, you have a car that you could drive this every day if you wanted to. Especially a 2018 GT350, because 2018, they were not putting Cup 2 tires on the Shelby yet. So, just something to be aware that if you buy one that has original tires on it, those are the Super Sports. Super Sports have plenty of stick, don't get me wrong, but you're also going to get a lot more wearability out of them for sure. Let me go ahead, pull on this highway, let me downshift a couple times. Like I said, the transmission is just a pleasure in this thing. On throttle, here we go. The sound, I think the best part about the engine, besides the sound, is that it allows you to just carry those R's. You know, when you're going through your favorite twisty road in your section, or you're going on a track day, what's wonderful is you don't have to shift as much, especially if you have a series of turns where they're kind of on the tighter side. You'll be able to use the power band so much more efficiently in this car than, say, somebody that has some twin turbocharged engine or something like that. It makes it that much better of a track car and that much better of a performance car. Now, does it have gobs of torque where you're going to just be launched into the back seat? No, but that's not what the purpose of this car is. The purpose of this car is a true road racing performance car. But let's see how she handles in this first left-hand turn up here, downshifting. Nice sound. Brakes feel phenomenal. You can heel-toe downshift all day long. Round and round, round she goes. Here we go. On throttle. Yeah! The sound, the sensation, everything about how this car communicates to you, it gives you that special feeling that you've been craving out of a car for so long. Everything has gotten so electronic and so numb. This car still has some of that original flavor that you've been dying for. And for under $50,000, you could have plenty of it. Second gear, on throttle, just carry the R's. On the brakes, brakes feel good. Look at this, look how balanced this is. Magna Ride suspension doing its thing. Really wonderful, just so wonderful the way it gets the power to the ground. It's really, to me, the perfect performance car. Yeah, there's faster cars in a straight line. Yeah, there's cars that'll do more stuff. But I'm telling you, for your hard-earned bottom dollar, this thing brings it, and it brings it in a big way. You never get old of it. Here we go, on throttle. remember the day I first got into a Shelby GT350. It fit me like a glass slipper, like the glass slipper with Cinderella. That's what I felt like in the GT350. That's how well sorted just the placement of everything is inside this car, outside, the whole shabam. It really is that great of a car. Here we go, on throttle, second gear, on the brakes. Look at this, look how balanced it is, so smooth, all the way around. Here we go. You just carry those RPMs. Wonderful. Tell me a car, better performance, better sensation, better sound for less than $50,000. It's gonna be hard to really find one, especially one that communicates like this. But hopefully this gave you a little bit more firepower. If you're trying to track one of these down, maybe you've been sitting on the fence, hopefully I knocked you off of the fence and told you to get one of these right away. Because like I said, 2020, last year, the party is coming to an end. But once again, on throttle. So wonderful. I'm telling you, it's just, and like I said, if you want a car that kind of does it all for you, you could use this as the daily driver. The wonderful thing is, because it has only 429 pound-feet of torque, you're not gonna roast the tires every 5 seconds like you are in a Hellcat or something like that that just has gobs and gobs of supercharged power. Then you take it to the track, and that's when things just come alive. That's what makes this car so great and so flexible. Just a pleasure. It's just a pleasure to drive. Here we go, on throttle. So precise. Sound. We need to get back to Walker Ford, or I'm going to take this one home. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys. It's been another one of those days here at Walker Ford where I'm just like, thank you, God, for the support I get from all of you to have Rady's Rides be a possibility. This 2018 Shelby GT350, I think we proved that it really is the best performance car for under $50,000, especially since they are bringing an end to the production of them. But I definitely want to thank Frank Walker, Wes Walker, Tracy, Benji, Mark, Austin, Jason, Greg, the whole crew here, so accommodating. They know how much I love this car. You know how much I love this car, and I know how much you love this car. But if it's cars like these that you want to keep seeing on the channel, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you. I'm very grateful for your support. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you on the channel, click the link in the description, get yourself some Rady's Rides merch. Got to get it at the Big Guns McGee. Tom Motioner working that camera like a muscle car champ. So thank you, Tom, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.